good evening, and welcome to 5:30 All Levels Yoga. I'm Chris, and it is December 10th. We're moving ever further into the darkness, and of course that will turn around in just a couple of weeks. So I'm happy to be here tonight, and if you're joining in and you have any requests this evening, feel free to let me know. I'm going to start as I normally do now in a seated position. I'm sitting up on my bolster, and you might be sitting up on a cushion or perhaps on the floor. So just finding your seat to begin with, and let's just kind of drop in and find our breath and find our spine for a few moments as we wait to see if anyone has any requests or joins in. And I can see that the Rabkin contingent is here, which is Shivanti and Sasha, chest openers. Okay, sure. Hi, Lisa. Let me know if you have any requests. I'm just going to start with a little bit of just kind of grounding and breathing. So find your seat wherever you are and find your spine. And you might move around a little bit and just bring yourself into a place where you feel kind of evenly balanced over your two sit bones. You can feel your spine rising up and then kind of moving around a little bit and coming to a place where you feel your long neutral spine, so that your lumbar curve is intact and your head is balanced on top of your shoulders. There's a little curve in your neck. Everything's pretty neutral, and you're finding your breath. And of course, we're breathing in and out through the nose. So taking some balanced breaths. Maybe relaxing a little bit in your face and jaw. The shoulders could drop away from the ears. You could have your palms facing down on your thighs, just grounding yourself. And then just kind of close your eyes or find a soft gaze in front of you and just really feel the breath. And feel the rhythm of your breath and how it changes the shape of your body as it comes and goes. You might make your inhale and exhale a little smoother, a little more equal. Just kind of noticing the quality of your breath and just gently shaping it. Feeling the movement of the rib cage and the belly. You can let your belly be soft. And then from there, you could bring your hands together at your heart and just take a moment to set a dedication or an intention for your practice this evening. And then from there, you could bring your hands back down and do a little bit of cat-cow, just rounding, letting your chin drop towards your chest. Exhale, then inhale, let your chest come forward. And just moving like that through a cat-cow-like motion a few times. Letting your head kind of be along for the ride. And then just coming back to center. And let's take a little side stretch. Bring your left hand down to the floor next to you and reach up with the right arm. You could turn the palm back facing behind you. Maybe bending your elbows so that your left shoulder can relax away from your ear. So feeling the stretch all the way from the sit bone up through the fingertips. And then coming over to the other side. Right hand comes down. And reaching. And then coming back up to center. Just taking a peek there. Janice, hi. Stretch legs from hips. All right, heart openers and legs and hips. And then bring your hands back behind your skull and just clasp your hands there. And then round and draw the elbows together, bringing your chin down, just gently stretching the back of the neck. Maybe exhale, then inhale, open your elbows out to the sides. This isn't this is a gentle movement. So going back and forth a few times, not pulling too hard on the neck or the shoulders, just making it comfortable. And moving with the breath. And then release your arms and bring your fingertips to your shoulders and try making some circles. So bring the elbows together. They might not touch. That's okay. Bring them up and around. And just moving like this. Kind of dropping into your seat as you do this and breathing. Let your shoulders be kind of relaxed as you move them. And then maybe switch the direction of the circles. It's okay if your elbows don't come all the way together, just moving comfortably. Try to relax your fingers up against your shoulders. And then just let that go. Shake your arms out a little. You can bring your palms together and your elbows up. And then just straighten your arms up and bring the palms back together towards the middle of your back. The tendency is to kind of arch the back a lot, so see if you can just kind of keep it in a neutral position. Just a couple more times like that. And then reach the arms out. And you could open the chest, tip your head back, open your palms, and then turn your arms and also your upper spine and your neck. Kind of like a little cat-cow action of your shoulders and your neck and thoracic spine. Keeping pretty grounded in your seat. One more time through. Inhale, arch your back, and then exhale, round and turn your shoulder joints. And release that. Let's do a quick stretch of our wrists and palms of the hands. Hi, Lisa. Pelvic frog, abductors. All right. Looks like we've got a class. So maybe just a little side to side. And maybe even bend into one elbow and then straighten the other like you're kneading like a cat kind of. And then shake that out. You might do the opposite. I don't like doing it with all my body weight, but you could do that. I kind of like to just do it this way. And you could also do this, just curl your fingers down, kind of making a fist in this direction, and then lift and spread your hands. Staying neutral in your spine. Do that a couple times. It feels pretty good to me. I don't know how that would feel to you, but I kind of like it. And shake it out. And then let's come to hands and knees. And if you have a strap at home, have that handy. We'll do some shoulder flossing kind of stuff. So coming to hands and knees and doing some cat-cow. So really spread your hands, find your tabletop position. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, arch. You could bend your elbows. Just moving through your cat-cow. And then come back to hands and knees. Walk your knees back a little bit. Come into prayer pose. Let your head come down. And you could let your head roll side to side, rolling over your forehead. Starting to come into your Ujjayi breathing, so closing the back of the throat a little bit. And then back to center, walk the hands over towards the left, stretching. Feeling the stretch all the way up the right side of your torso, into the shoulder. You could flip your right palm and bring the back of the palm to the floor. Nice steady breath. And then walk hands back through center and over to the right, drawing your left hip back. Maybe flipping your, excuse me, left palm. So the back of the hand is on the floor. You might feel a little different stretch in the shoulder that way. And then walk hands back to center. Come to your forearms and spread your hands here and just do a little rocking into the shoulder joint like this, like a baby dolphin. So you're on your knees instead of on your feet, sliding, slowly kind of waking up our shoulders and building our practice. And then tuck your toes and just walk your weight back so that you're stretching the bottoms of the feet and the backs of the legs for a moment. You could rock a little bit side to side, keeping your head and shoulders lifted. If that hurts your feet, obviously, no need to do it. It's quite a bit of body weight back into the feet. And then come forward and let's come up to downward facing dog. So lift up, lift the tail, and take a few breaths here, just pressing into one heel and the other. Spread your hands and really press into that area underneath the thumb and forefinger. And then let's come forward into plank pose. And then let's kind of just swoop down and come into this cobra. And then we'll make our way back. You can bend your knees and come back up to down dog. And let's do that a couple times. Come to plank. Skip the chaturanga for now. Just swoop into your cobra pose. And then draw the hips back. Keep the knees on the floor. And then lift tail. Come into down dog. One more time. Come into plank, and swoop into your cobra. And then with the knees bent, lift the tail, come back through hands and knees, lift the knees, come to down dog, take a breath. And step the right foot back up and over the left foot, bringing the sole of the right foot to the floor. So lift your right hip, pressing strongly through both of your hands. And stepping back through center, stepping the left foot up and over the right foot, bringing the sole of the left foot to the floor. Breathing. Nice steady breath. And then stepping back to center. And from here, let's step the right foot all the way to the front of the mat and bring your left knee down. So coming into a low lunge. Keep your head and shoulders lifted. And take a couple breaths there. So just kind of letting the hips drop just as much as it feels good. We're not trying to push really hard into the front of your left hip. So lowering your hips but not straining the front of the hip. And you're kind of drawing the right hip back. And then bring your right hand onto the inside of your right foot and draw the hips back, and go back and forth a couple times from here, forward. You could keep your toes on the floor as you draw your hips back, kind of stretching the top of the foot. And one more time through, like that, and then the next time you bring your hips back, walk your hands back a little, let your toe turn up. And draw your heel back towards you, so you're stretching. You might bring your hands now to both sides of the leg, so you're stretching into the back of the right leg, the calf. Keeping your head and shoulders lifted. Sometimes it's nice to have blocks for this. And then come forward again, and step back up to down dog. So consciously moving through the transitions between the poses. It's like there's not really a pose, there's a whole spectrum of movements and relationship to gravity. So everything is a pose, not to get all philosophical on you. And then let's come forward into plank pose, bringing the hips down so that your Spine is neutral, lifting the belly, pressing the floor away. And maybe drop your knees or just come through chaturanga with your elbows on your sides all the way onto the belly. Reach your arms back, clasp your hands, and roll up the shoulders. And you could start to rock a little from side to side, maybe looking back over one shoulder and the other. And then eventually we'll roll onto the left side, pinning the left arm underneath and feeling the right shoulder blade sliding. Take a couple of nice breaths here, feeling the expansion of your rib cage. You might be kind of looking back over the right shoulder. And then think about how you're going to roll back onto your belly and over onto the right side with just the right amount of momentum. This time pinning your right arm. Feeling the front of the chest opening, breathing. And then back onto your belly. And release that. Bring your hands under your shoulders and bring yourself back up to downward facing dog. Taking a breath or two here. Taking any movements that feel good. And then we'll step the left foot to the front of the mat, bringing the right knee down. Keeping the head and shoulders lifted. Taking a few breaths here. Again, feeling into the front of your right hip without pain. So you can always kind of adjust yourself as needed. And then bringing left hand on the inside of the left foot. Drawing the hips back. I'm coming up onto my fingertips to do this. And coming forward, you might do that, or you could use blocks, or when you draw your hips back, you could keep the ball of the foot on the floor, stretching the top of the foot. That feels good. Just moving back and forth. And then the next time you come back, let your toes lift. You could bring your hands to either side of the leg, drawing the heel back, doing a stretch, keeping head and shoulders from rounding forward. And then we're going to rock forward, and we're going to step forward into a forward bend. So doing that consciously. Feet are hip width. You can bend your knees. Just take a couple breaths here. In your forward bend. And then we'll sweep the arms up, lengthening up. Reaching up. And then see if you can come up onto the balls of the feet. Lift your heels. And find something to gaze at, so you can stay there for a moment, and then slowly let the heels come back down. Bringing your hands together, coming back into your forward bend. Again, taking a nice couple of smooth, deep, even breaths here. Maybe Ujjayi breathing. You could let your neck hang a little, let it be kind of soft. And from there, we'll step the left foot to the back of the mat. This time, let's come up with the back knee lifted, coming into Warrior One with our back heel lifted, and taking a breath or two here. So maybe some engagement in your glutes on the left side to help stabilize. And then let's take a twist. So we'll bring left arm forward, right arm back with the palms facing open. And then sweep the right arm forward and back up. And bring left arm back, palms facing open. Turn and look back. And then bring left arm forward and arms up. And let's take a twist. So bring maybe left hand down to the floor by your right foot. And open up your chest. You can use a block. feel how the left hip's drawing forward, right hip's drawing back. Legs are strong. You might feel like there's a string attached to the back of your left thigh, kind of pulling it up. You can do some circles with your right arm, just moving through some of the range of motion you have there. And then turning to face down, stepping back to down dog again. Taking a break at any time, coming into prayer if you need a break. Then we'll come forward into plank pose. And take a breath there. And then elbows by the sides, halfway down at most, coming into that cobra pose again. You can be in a different version of it if you like, maybe with forearms on the floor, like a Sphinx pose also. Breathing. And then making your way back up to down dog slowly. Let's take our right hand back towards the left lower leg and kind of turn the upper spine a bit. Also the neck, so you're looking underneath your left arm as you press into the left hand. And then release the right hand and bring left hand down towards the lower right ankle or leg. So a little bit of a thoracic rotation and neck cervical rotation. And then reaching forward and coming back to center, down dog. And then we're going to step the left foot to the front of the mat and come up into warrior one with the back heel lifted, setting yourself up. So finding strength in your legs, some glute engagement on the right side to stabilize you, then right arm forward, left arm back, palms facing open. And bring the left arm forward, lift the arms, right arm back, left arm forward. Take a breath and then right arm forward, arms come up one more time, left arm back. I can't remember if I did it twice on the other side, but oh well. And left arm forward, arms come up, right arm back, and right arm forward and up. And then we'll take the twist. Right arm down by your left foot, opening up the chest. Strong legs, so the right leg is strong and the ankle, or excuse me, your heel slightly turned in towards center. Let your head open, come back, chest open. And then sweep your left hand down and we'll step forward again. Coming into our forward bend with feet hip width. And so you might straighten your legs, even if that means you have to come back up a little higher. And take a few breaths. It's a different stretch for the back of the leg. It's a different thing than bending the knees. Both are good. So you might kind of alternate. Sometimes we start out with our knees bent just because we're getting going, but taking a breath, and then sweep the arms out and up. Lift the gaze. You might bring your hands back behind your skull here and just kind of open the elbows, lift your gaze, and then reach up again. And bring your arms back down by your sides. Let your arms hang. Do a little twisting. And breathing. You could look back over one shoulder and the other. Maybe lift a foot. And then coming back to stand. And let's sweep the arms up again. Exhale, come forward. And let's step the right foot back and come up into into warrior two. So lining up the front heel kind of with the back foot and circling your arm, your right arm back, and settling into this pose that can sometimes feel very statue-like. So see if you can find some movement of the breath, movement of energy in your body, feeling your back foot on the floor, the outer edge of the back foot. And then flip your front palm, take a little reverse warrior. You can bring your right arm back behind you or have it on the leg, and then circle the arms around, coming into extended side angle pose. And so the elbow could be on the knee, or you could bring it down to the ankle. Yeah, and you can do some circles with your right arm here. I don't think I did that on the left side on the other arm, so we'll do it this time. And then hands down and step back to downward facing dog. I'm going to turn around. And then coming through plank pose. And let's come down onto our belly. And let's come into Sphinx pose for a moment. Kind of dragging your belly forward, your heart forward, opening the chest. Taking any movements with your head and neck that feel good. Finding your Ujjayi breathing. And then let's release and rock the hips a bit from side to side. And then you can reach your arms forward and turn the thumbs up. Let's lift the right arm and the left leg. And then reach or lift the left arm and the right leg. Keep the neck at ease here, so long and neutral. And then go side to side, moving your limbs. And release it. Just rocking your hips a bit. And let's bend the knees and lift the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. Let's try reaching back and clasping our ankles. And maybe you're not coming up into your biggest bow pose ever, but just come into an easy bow. You might say bow's never easy, but maybe it's not the hardest bow you've ever done. Yeah, let's roll over onto our side. So you could try rolling onto the left side. And back through center. And onto the right side. I like side bow. You can also roll up right into bridge from bow, but we'll go back onto our belly. And then release it, but see if you can, maybe you can keep a hold of the tops of the feet and stretch the quads a little bit. And the tops of the feet, and then release, just rock the hips. And then let's come back up to downward dog. Find your breath. And then we're going to step the right foot forward and line up our feet for warrior two. So sweeping the arms up. And coming into warrior two. So feeling the outer edge of your left foot. So really use your left leg. Finding your gaze. Being patient with it. For a couple breaths. You can turn your right palm and then take the reverse warrior for a moment. Maybe left arm comes back behind you. Come a little deeper into the bend of your right knee. And then circle your arms around for extended side angle. Elbow could be on the knee or hand down to the ankle. Nice steady breath. And then circle your arm a few times, the left arm. Maybe kind of opening the shoulder as you do it. And then hands come down and step back to downward dog again. Let's bring the knees down. Just take a breath or two here in prayer. You could bend your elbows in prayer and make prayer hands and bring them back towards the middle of your back, maybe pressing fingertips together and palms apart. I'm thinking of heart openers here, so let's come back up, and then let's come up onto our knees and let's do camel pose, which is just like bow. So you could do that with your hands clasped, or maybe into the palms into the sacrum, lengthen up. And if we were doing it just like bow, we might bring our hands back towards our ankles. So feel your breath. It's harder to breathe in some of these poses, so make a little room for the breath. And then coming back up, just take a moment. You come and sit for a moment. We'll do another one as well. And then coming back up. This time bring hands back to the sacrum. We'll bring left hand into the sacrum and bring, I'm tucking my toes. Bring right arm up and just gaze back over the left shoulder. And then bring right hand back to the sacrum and left arm up. Gaze back over the right shoulder. And then you might go side to side one more time. And release it. Just come to hands and knees and do a couple of cat-cow, rounding the spine. Exhale. Inhale, let the belly drop. One more time through like that, rounding and arching. And then let's take the strap. And let's come to stand. We'll do just a little bit of shoulder work with the strap, the usual. So finding your standing mountain pose, feel your feet on the floor, and then find the right spot for your hands to be so that you have some tension on the strap as you bring it back up and over, opening the chest. And just go through that a few times. Staying with your neutral spine. Next time your arms come back, you could pause there. Do a little turn from side to side. Opening the heart. And then release that. You just bring the strap around your neck and let that go. Maybe bring arms out and right elbow on top. So eagle arms. So you're gonna step your feet just a little wider, like a little wider than hip width. Lifting fingertips and elbows as your shoulder blades are able to slide down. You could come forward into a little forward bend. Maybe moving a little there, like you have an elephant's trunk. And then coming back up and switching the arms. So just opening the chest and then bringing left elbow on top. If you can't wrap your arms, you can just, sometimes people can't, you can take a variation where you don't wrap the forearms. And come forward. Sometimes people's chest gets in the way, whether it's their breasts or sometimes it's like, I've taught guys in prison who have really big muscles and they can't wrap their arms. So, and then bend the knees and come back up and open your chest again. And then let's take the strap, just bringing your feet about hip width. Let's just do a little bit of side bending with the strap. So you can kind of find your own variation of this that feels good. You don't have to go really far into it. You might look up. I'm just kind of playing with it. And with the position of your hands on the strap. And then maybe do some of that, I don't know what we call it, kayaking or something. Bringing one arm up and over, just moving like this. And if you want to move your body as you do that, you can, or you can keep it more still and just move through the shoulders. Either way is interesting. Switching the direction. Breathing as you do it, kind of paying attention to the breath. And then end up back here again one more time with the arms back behind you, opening the chest. And bring your arms back. And let's come into a forward bend. You could hold the strap for that. And maybe bring the arms up. Just kind of playing with that, using the strap. There's two different ways to hold the strap, so you might kind of fiddle with it. And then release it, and you can just set the strap off to the side. And from here, let's come sideways and come into a wide-legged forward bend, and then bend back and forth, coming into the inner thigh muscles, the groins. Just going back and forth. You could let your upper body sort of move side to side. And then let's come into a runner's stretch. So you could bring your left elbow underneath into the left shin. Maybe the right forearm comes to the floor. Toes of your right foot might point straight forward. Just moving slowly into that stretch. And if it feels okay for your body, you could turn it into Skandasana, turning your toes up. Still kind of keeping head and shoulders lifted. If you want even more, you could try lifting your arms. So press into the left heel and lift up if you're doing that. And then bring the hands back down. You can help yourself come through center with the hands, or try to do it without. I need to use my hands. I don't have quite enough strength to move all the way through without it. And then bend right knee, bringing the back of your right arm possibly into the shin. You can always be up on hands too, it's fine, with your arms straight. Or maybe left forearms on the floor, toes of your left foot pointing forward. Just honoring your body. If it doesn't feel right, backing out. And then coming into this other variation, Skandasana, turning the toes up. And coming, it's like a half of a squat. Maybe you can lift your arms, lift your gaze. And then maybe you need your hands to help you get up. I do. Come back to center. And then maybe turn the toes in a bit and bend the knees a little bit, just coming into a stretch of the outer part of your lower legs. And then just coming into the forward bend again, turning your toes back and walking the hands forward. Keeping the neck long. Nice deep breath. And you could walk your right hand over towards the lower right leg or ankle. So you're coming into the twist like we did in down dog, but reaching forward with the left hand. So feeling some rotation in the upper spine and neck. And releasing that, reaching right arm forward, and the left hand comes towards the lower right leg. So using that leverage to kind of pull yourself into a twist. And releasing. Walking your hands back in. And then let's come into frog pose, which was requested by Lisa. So knees apart. And you might start with your feet together. You can stay there. You could also bring your ankles down from the knees. So long spine, keeping the head lifted or supported in some way. So we're not just dropping the 15 pounds that our head weighs and straining our neck and shoulders, especially doing that unconsciously. My dog, who is about 95 pounds, I was scooping her poop in the yard today, and she likes to run around dramatically while I do that. And I knew she was going to bonk into me at some point, but she bumped into my head and neck. So I'm still trying to figure out how bad it is. I think I'm going to be okay, but it was like, oh no. So come forward onto your belly and bring your legs together. Of course, she had no idea what she did. Let your feet go side to side. You might stay here and on your belly and draw the right knee forward so you're kind of in a half of a frog pose. And maybe you can kind of tip and tuck your tailbone here. You might be up on your forearms. See if you can move the pelvis without moving everything else. And then bring the right leg back and the left knee forward for kind of this half frog on this side. Again, if you can tip and tuck your tailbone. It's a small movement. Sometimes that helps get things back into place when they get knocked out of place, which mine feels a little whack. And then bring that left leg back and just rock the hips a little side to side. And then let's come back up to stand. Let's do a couple things. Let's do goddess or horse pose. So with a couple variations. So we'll start with coming into it. So sitting down, staying upright in our spine, and then we'll sweep the arms up and straighten the legs and bring the palms together, and then bend the knees, reach the arms out, and then straighten legs, bring the palms together. So we'll do that a few times, coming up and down, kind of like a slow motion jumping jack with no jumping. Let's do it like 3 more times. Slowly. And then come back into your horse or your goddess pose. I kind of like calling it goddess. And then let's take some little side bending just gently. So you could bring like your right arm across the front of your body, left arm up and over, and then switch. So you're just kind of windmilling the arms, keeping legs really steady. Couple times. Staying steady with your strong legs. Last one. And come back to center. Press your hands out, fingertips up. And then curl those hands into fists, stretching the top of your wrist. One more time, spread your hands. And then curl down with your fingers. Straighten your legs and come forward again. Rocking your hips a bit. We'll do some outer hip stuff, but let's turn. So we'll be facing the left leg. Let's turn and come into pyramid. So take a few breaths there. Left hip draws back, right hip draws forward. Sacrum stays pretty level here. Feel both feet on the floor. A little bit like your thighs are kind of drawing towards each other. Belly is sort of engaging and drawing up. And then take your twist. So open up into this revolved triangle. Breathing. And then bring the hand back down. And let's step up. Lift your right leg up. Arms could come up, so you're in warrior 3. And then bring right hand down, taking a twist here. So you could turn to look up. Fingertips could be light on the floor, your right fingertips. And then bring left hand down and come into half moon, so the fingertips come just to the outside of the pinky toe, diagonally, and then open up, stacking the hips, opening the chest. I'm keeping my gaze down. You could do that or turn to look up. It's more challenging. Just keeping your neck still, long and neutral. And then bring your right hand back down for a moment. Pause there. And step back to pyramid. And back to down dog. If you want to come through plank into your cobra, you could do that, or you could stay in your down dog for a moment. Or even stay in prayer. Then step your right foot forward for pyramid. So really find your feet on the floor. Right hip draws back. Big stretch. Keeping the spine long and neutral, so your tailbone's kind of lifting, head and shoulders are staying lifted. Nice, steady Ujjayi breathing. And then opening into the twist, into revolved triangle, maybe staying light on your fingertips on the left side if you can. Again, feeling that sense that the thighs are sort of coming in towards center. Breathing. Bringing right hand down. And let's step up, left foot up. Hands could come up for warrior 3. Maybe out to the sides like an airplane. And then left fingertips to the floor, taking a twist here. Could look up if you want. I'm being careful with my neck tonight. And then right hand comes down and out to the outside of the little toe, turning open into half moon pose. So flexing your ankle, your left ankle. Stay looking down or turn to look up. Stacking the hips. Opening the chest. Head comes back. And then bring left hand down. And step back to pyramid for a moment. And back to down dog. And let's do some outer hip work. So we'll start with pigeon. So we'll lift the left leg. And then slowly round the spine and draw the knee forward. And come into pigeon. So take your time. Setting yourself up, maybe coming to your forearms or coming down further, but keeping the head from dropping. So keep your neck long. Finding the place where you feel a good stretch. Nice, steady breath. Feel your breath kind of all the way around the rib cage. So feel it in the back and the sides. If you have a bra on or something tight around your chest, you can really feel that kind of resistance that you know, when you inhale, and it's kind of helpful sometimes just to feel the movement of the rib cage. You can do that by tying a resistance band around your chest too, if you don't have a bra on. Sometimes it's a good exercise just to be able to feel the movement of the rib cage. And then let's walk the hands in and maybe bend your right knee and reach back with your left hand. Just coming into a twist. So you're kind of pulling your shin into the hand if you've got it. And then release that. And lean to your left. And let's swing your back leg around. Just bring it in front of the shin and do a little stretch of the back of the left or right lower leg, the ankle. So I'm feeling that shin, the calf muscles, ankle, and then let your seat come back down. Let's come into a seated twist. So stepping your right foot around, maybe to the outside of the left thigh. You can also straighten your left leg. Sitting up tall. And then release your arms and just breathe yourself into the twist towards the right knee. So without pulling to begin with, without leverage, just feeling the movement of your spine, kind of naturally what the twist is. And then you might use your arms to be giving you some leverage. So you kind of have this active range of motion, and then you have a more passive range of motion that you can get by kind of helping to move into that. And then you could reach for the outside of your right foot with your left hand and lift that foot up, and then reach back with the right arm, kind of sitting up on the sit bones. You can use a strap if you can't get the foot, or just bend the knee also if you need to. Opening the chest. And then release and bring that foot back for a moment. Let's actually stack the knees and come into steer pose. So maybe you are going to try it with the arm variation. So if you know that you can't reach and touch your hands, use a strap. So bring your right elbow up and work on kind of wrapping your right arm in so the shoulder blade can move. Keeping it kind of alongside the side of the head. I don't find it to be a very comfortable thing to do. Even after all these years of yoga, my body really just isn't happy for me to do this particularly. And release that. Maybe you could stretch your arms out and then reach back for the elbows. And just a couple breaths, more breaths here. Release your arms. And then try, if it's okay for your body, for your hips and your knees, you could try this double, some people call it double pigeon or fire log. So the ankle is on top of the knee. If you bring the ankle down into the shin, it's not as big of a stretch. Try not to let your ankle twist. Keep your ankle aligned so that the action is happening at the hip. You can also support your knee if you need to. And then come up and straighten your left leg, straighten your right leg, and just let them flop a little in and out, letting go. And then walk your feet in. Turn your fingertips back behind you and lift your hips. You could look straight ahead, keep your chin tucked, or if you want to, you could let your head come back. Just Be careful with your neck. And then slowly let your hips drop back down. And let's make our way back to down dog. Then you could lift your right leg and real slowly draw the knee forward, rounding, coming to pigeon. Taking your time, coming forward, maybe to your forearms. So you're supporting some of your weight, if you have your forearms, some of your body weight like into your elbows, and not all into the knee and hip. So it's up to you if you want more body weight in your hip. Walk your hands forward. But if you feel pinching in the front of the hip, or you feel like your knee is uncomfortable, just back away. You can always come onto your back. And you can also come up onto your hands and support even more weight that way. Pigeon is a lot of weight into the joints. So be thoughtful about it. Breathing, keeping your long spine. Feeling the breath again, kind of in that way around the rib cage. And if your belly feels really tightly constricted, you could make a little room for your belly so that your belly can move. And then walk your hands in, plant your left hand, reach back for your left ankle with your right hand, coming into a twist. I like to come up onto my hand, but we can also do it down on the forearm. And slowly release, leaning to the right, sweeping your left leg around, bringing your foot in front of your shin and coming into a little stretch of the back of the left calf and Achilles, feeling your ankle, flexing. Breathing. One time I was teaching a yoga class and somebody said when they were doing this, I didn't know that my leg needed this so much. And I always think of that because that's how I feel when I do it. Like, oh God, I need to stretch my calves more. It feels so good. Like kind of tight, kind of. And then sit your seat back and step your left foot up and over the right thigh. You can straighten your right leg out if you need to, just letting your seat come back down and come into the twist with the arms not helping to begin with. See what your kind of your active range of motion in this rotation of your spine. And then release the arms and kind of let the arms help you come into a more passive rotation. Making some room for the breath. And then turning back to face forwards. Stacking your knees. You can always keep the right leg straight if you need to. And then taking your strap again like we did on the other side, this time with the left arm up, reaching back for the strap with the right arm. Or maybe you can clasp hands. I know some people can. I can reach my hands together, but in order to do that, I really have to distort my body to get there, and so it's really not just my shoulders, it's like I'm moving my whole torso. So using a strap is helpful, and then release that. You can take your hands back and clasp your hands, and then maybe just bow forward, if that feels good. And coming back up, and then maybe you're coming into this double pigeon with your left ankle on your right knee, just being thoughtful about your knees, maybe coming forward. Yeah, and again, it could be with your bottom leg straight, your right leg could be straight. It's not very comfortable for me either, but I'm breathing. For me, it's a little easier when I come forward. When I tilt my pelvis, it makes the pose feel easier, rather than when I'm sitting up straight. Not super far forward, that changes it, but just like coming to a neutral kind of curve of my low back helps. And it also feels good to just stay with it, because it's a kind of a pose you have to just like make up your mind that you're going to stay and breathe. And then you could straighten your legs out, let your feet flop in and out, just let that go. And then walk the feet in, come up. You could maybe this time you turn your fingertips towards your body, if that feels okay. It's a different feeling for the shoulders, so be careful. Lift the hips. You might keep the chin towards the chest, or you could let your head come back. Slowly letting the hips come down. And then let's extend the legs, coming into a seated, wide-legged straddle position. So maybe the arms are back behind you. So we had requests for legs and hips and heart openers and what am I missing? Oh, abductors, inner thigh muscles, groins. I think we've hit those spots pretty well. You could walk hands over towards the left ankle, kind of keeping your right sit bone moving towards the ground. Might lift up a little, coming into a twist. You can use your strap if you can't reach the foot without rounding. It's the same pose we did standing. And then walk hands over to the right. Again, using strap can be helpful. Nice, comfortable breathing. And then hands back towards center for a moment, just evening yourself out. And then let's bend your knees and help your legs come back together, soles of the feet come together. So come into like a tortoise pose, bringing your face towards the soles of the feet. So the soles of the feet are more forward, away from your hips. And then there's some intentional rounding of your spine that's happening. Widening of the upper back, lifting the belly. And slowly releasing. Then draw the feet in a little closer for cobbler pose. Baddha Konasana. Just sitting up tall, letting your knees open out to the sides. Maybe there's some forward movement. You might be able to, I'm using my elbows to kind of encourage my inner thighs to open a little more. Just being careful though. Knees are opening towards the floor. And then we're going to come onto our back. I'm going to move my mat out of the way and bring this down a little bit. Let's come onto our back and just draw your knees in towards your chest. Just rock a little bit from side to side. And then bringing the arms out to the sides. Just bring the legs up. Feel for your Sacrum on the floor, tailbone pressing back towards the floor, and let your feet go side to side, keeping sacrum on the floor. Just gently, one foot kind of slides down the inner ankle. So the belly's drawing in, tailbone staying towards the floor. So you can feel your belly is, your lower back and your abdominal muscles are helping to control these movements. And then draw the knees in, rocking a bit. And you could reach your hands back behind your skull and lift up, draw your elbows together towards the knees, kind of making a little round ball with your body. And stretching the back of the neck. And then bringing head back down. And let's just do a little bit of more core work before we bring it to a conclusion here. So let's extend left leg, draw your left elbow towards your right knee. Try to lift the shoulders off the floor and switch. So you're doing this bicycling. You could kind of just support your head with your hands, trying to keep the shoulders lifting. It's hard to talk. Elbow towards the opposite knee. A couple more times. And start to feel your belly getting warm and kind of sore in a good way. And then release back. I've just been doing that recently because I've been getting kind of bored with the usual core work and I haven't done it for a while. I don't know. I guess a lot of yoga is repetition, but it's fun to also throw in some stuff we haven't done for a while. You could lift your legs up again, and then try, this is always really tough for me, one of my teachers always did this, try lifting your head up. You're not going to actually curl your neck, but lift it up, lift your shoulder blades off the floor, and try to lift your, it's really hard to talk, your tailbone, your sacrum up, so you're crunching, but support your head, so you're not doing it with your neck, you're doing it with your core, and then release. And do that a couple times. So lift the shoulder blades, lift the tailbone and the lower back up as much as you can. Oh my gosh, that's so hard. And then release, and do it one more time. Lift the head, support your head like you're looking up. You're lifting shoulder blades, you're lifting your lower back off the floor. Okay, good. Bring your feet down and lift your hips. Stretch the front of your body, coming into bridge pose. If you want to come up into a full wheel, you could do that too. And that'll really stretch your belly. That bridge is great too, just taking your time. Coming back down to the floor when you're ready. Rocking a little bit from side to side. And then bring your feet down a little wider than your hips. With your knees bent, arms up to the sides. Let your knees drop over towards the left. Picking left ankle up and putting it on top of the right knee. Relax your upper body. Just letting your hips stretch a bit. You can feel it just on the right side. Maybe into the quads. And then release that and let the knees come over towards the right. Maybe the ankle comes up on top of the left knee, the right ankle. And just feeling yourself kind of settling back towards the floor. Breath is starting to come into a little more calm state. And then release that and take any last little movements. Maybe the knees draw in, or you could come into happy baby for a moment and rock a little side to side. And we're moving towards our final resting pose. So maybe the soles of the feet come together, knees apart, coming into a reclined bound angle position. And then eventually moving your legs, stretching your legs out and your arms out by your sides. Do take the time to have a few moments of Shavasana to finish your practice. So let yourself surrender. Tonight is the second night of Hanukkah. And we're somewhere in the middle of Advent. So we're moving into the light, slowly towards the light. We're really still moving into the darkness, but we're lighting the way to come back towards the light. We're counting the days. So it can feel a little, this year of course being an incredibly difficult year for so many people. It's really almost impossible not to feel the energy around us of the pandemic, and not just the physical realities that we're living with, but really just the suffering that's been caused by the pandemic. And so everything that we can do to stay in the light in our own way, I think really taking the best care we can of ourselves at this time of year, it's pretty challenging. So sticking with our routines. It's all temporary, but difficult. And so allowing yourself to have these moments where you feel embodied, not just in the ways that you were moving in your practice and breathing consciously, but also here in this resting pose on your back, allowing yourself to be surrendered and heavy. Maybe you feel some light around you. Maybe you can feel a glow around your body. That could be like a sense of the heat that you created in your practice or the warmth in your body. But also it's kind of like a glow of light that's surrounding you, that keeps you safe. You might imagine it like your body's glowing. And maybe the more you surrender, the more you soften and release your body, the more it glows. Coming into this very calm state with your nervous system, practicing this parasympathetic nervous system state where your heart rate is calm and your breath is shallow and soft. Your muscles are relaxing. Giving yourself a sense of well-being. Practicing that. You might just take a moment to kind of witness your inner conditions, your thoughts, what's coming up for you. Just a couple more breaths here, seeing if you can fully give over the weight of your body to the earth, to the floor, knowing that gravity is supporting you and holding you. The earth is literally cradling you. And you're safe right now. Just feeling a moment of safety if you can. Feeling the breath. Feeling the effects of your practice. From there, you can just take your time to make your way onto your side and come back to your seat for a couple breaths to close. So maybe rolling onto one side and kind of reawakening in your body. And just like we did at the beginning, sitting. So if you're sitting up on something, finding your way to that, feeling your sit bones heavy, kind of evenly on the surface that you're seated on, and feeling your spine rising up. And then coming back to your breath in this seated position. Just feeling the breath coming in and out through the nose. Good feeling of the breath, conscious breath. letting the shoulders drop away from your ears. And then you might bring your hands together at your heart and just pause for a moment to recall your intention or your dedication for your practice tonight if you set one. Bowing your head to your practice, to your own inner teacher, your higher self, or your higher power. Thank you so much for joining in this evening. It's nice to know that you're out there practicing along with me, and happy Hanukkah, and I hope that you're all doing well, and I appreciate you. The Hatha Yoga Center appreciates you. Thank you.